booksy, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here for a very quick Friday reads video. It's Friday afternoon. I don't have a lot of time. Today is June 7th. That means the first week of the month has ended. I've finished no books. This is what happens every month. I start my reading off really slowly just because seems like there's so much to do at the beginning of the month as it relates to bookish things, booktube things, lots of videos that need to be done, need to be recorded and edited and uploaded, and comments responded to, and all of the other things that encompass life and the changing of one month into another. And so even though I've started books, that's not true. I did finish a book this week. So I'm tempted to start this over, but no, I'm not going to do that. I did read The Fire Next Time yesterday. James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time. I read this in one sitting almost. I reread this because I read it in February when I was reading other things that had to do with race in America. I was reading Malcolm X's autobiography at the same time. I was reading books by Maya Angelou at the same time. I was reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' We Were 8 Years in Power around the same time. And so I felt like some of the message of this one got lost. And I hadn't filmed my review because, you know, I'm behind on some of those closer book videos that I just didn't make in the earlier parts of the year. And I want to be thorough because I did promise to review every book that I read this year. Even if the reviews take a while to come, they're coming. So I reread this and it's powerful. When I read it first, I gave it 5 stars, but I couldn't remember why. What was it about this book that resonated with me, separate and apart from all the other books that I've read on race? So let me tell you why this book is different. The title of this one comes from the Bible story of Noah, where, you know, God destroyed the world by flood and Noah and his family were saved. And after the flood, God promised that he wouldn't destroy the world by flood again, but the next time there would be destruction, it would be by fire. And in this one, James Baldwin uses that fire, that ultimate destruction of humanity, and uses that to say that is what the race issue is in this world. It's a destruction of not just America, not just American culture, not just American hierarchy and society, but unattended to race issues could be the thing that destroys humanity. And I thought it was so powerful that he takes this link, because he extends the second essay into race and religion and how one feeds into the other. The idea that Black people, African Americans, have been so oppressed. The reason that the Black Muslims and the Nation of Islam, led by Elijah Muhammad in the 1960s, the reason they became such a stronghold in the Black community was because they were offering this idea of this Black God that we're gonna talk a little bit more about this when I film my review. I was hoping to do it today, but I'm gonna have to wait until Monday because the weekends are so busy. I don't have time to film videos on the weekends, but I'm still thinking about my thoughts. I'm gonna film my review, so expect a little longer discussion of this one coming soon. But I reread this one. It's only a little over 100 pages. This is a book that you could read in just a couple of hours, maybe even an hour. It's profound. That's the only book that I finished this week, The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. But I started Doris Lessing's The Sweetest Dream, and this one I'm reading because I'm participating in Britta Bowler's Noble Women Read Along, where the group is reading this book this month, because every month we read a different book by a different female winner of the Nobel Prize. And this is my first time participating during the time when the read-along is happening. I read Pearl Buck's The Good Earth because it was chosen for the read-along, but I read it after the read-along had finished. So this is my first time reading, and a lot of people in the Goodreads group haven't started yet, so I'm a little bit early. But this is a long book, and I didn't know how the reading was going to be. The book is over 470 pages, so I wanted to take my time and give myself enough time to read it and absorb it and be able to discuss it when the time comes. And I'm finding it to be a slow read. Interesting story, but I'm finding it to be slow to get into. This one is set in 1960s in England, and it's during the period of burgeoning communism. And so we have a main character named Frances Lennox, and her ex-husband Johnny, he is a communist. So we call him Comrade Johnny. And for a while, because they've been together since she was young and naive, for a while she was also involved in the movement, but she wasn't communist enough for him. And so Johnny left her to pursue other women who would be more of a comrade to him. And she let him go, let him come back. She let him go, let him come back. And then she finally said enough is enough. But over the course of many years, she's allowed Johnny to be part of her life. They do have 2 sons together. And while she's trying to compensate for his inconsistency, she allows not just Johnny to take advantage of her, but their 2 sons she's been raising. She allows them to bring their friends and even people that she doesn't like into the home. And over time, she's moved into a floor of her mother-in-law's house. So they're all occupying this house where the mother-in-law, Julia, is living on the top floor. And Frances and her sons and all their friends are occupying the lower floors. And Johnny, the ex-husband, he thinks that the house belongs to him, even though he doesn't pay for maintenance or support. And so he comes and goes, and eventually he even brings his stepdaughter, who's not Frances's child, into the home. And this book is just a ramble of social interaction at the time when people are dealing with all these external forces. And so we're learning about how these children, these teenagers, are processing the politics around them, how they're processing the relationship that their parents and grandparents had with the war efforts, and the new war, and the socialism and capitalism versus communism and all of that. So I'm about 130 pages into this one, and I don't think I've seen a chapter break yet. It is just rambling. It's just one scene after another. So I'm glad that I started early. Like I predicted, it's not an easy read. It's very interesting, even though I'm still not sure what I'm making of the main character and all these extraneous characters who seem to be around and who Frances is forced to develop relationships with, even though she doesn't want to. But it's intriguing, and through these characters we're seeing the different identities that one can have, or that one could have in this time. All the people who were involved in the war in lots of different ways. We have German people who married British people around the time of World War II. And so we have alliances between the Axis and the Allies, and it's interesting. I like that. So we'll see how I get on next week. The read along is for the whole month, so I expect that I will continue reading. It's interesting. I'm reading a few pages every couple of days, so more on this later. And then the other book that I started this week is Penelope Lively's Moon Tiger. This is my Man Booker Prize winning novel that I'm reading right now, and I'm about 50 pages in. I read that in an afternoon and then I just stopped. This is about Claudia Hampton, and she's a historian, or she was a historian during the active part of her life. And now she's lying in a hospital bed. She's dying. I think she's dying from cancer. And she's imagining writing a history of the world, but personalizing it with her own life, and how she goes through the different phases of humanity and human existence, and characterizes all those different eras and eons by the friendships and acquaintances and relationships that she has gone through. Is interesting. And the conversations that she's had with people as she's remembering, as she lies here in a semi-comatose state, is fascinating, because, you know, for an old person, she's in her 70s at the time of the novel, and people who come to visit her, she can hear them, and it seems like she's pretending not to be able to interact with them. So we're getting one-sided conversations. We're getting what they say in her presence without knowing that she can hear them, and we're getting that overlaid with her own response, because she's privately hearing them and just choosing not to respond. And it's intriguing. Both of these books have characters named Sylvia who allow themselves to be railroaded, and I think I'm gonna come back with my book links video this month, because I love finding links between books. I was watching Sean the Book Maniac's video where he talks about the serendipity of snow being mentioned in a lot of books that he was reading around the same time. I tell you right now, these books have connections that are not just limited to character names, but we're gonna leave that for the end of the month when we do our book links video, because I'm gonna keep track this time of how I read the books, in what order, so we can talk about them at the end of the month. So that's my Friday reads. 3 books, finished 1, started 2 others, and next week we'll come back. Hopefully I'll have finished this and maybe a couple others. Both of these fit into reading women. I don't know which prompt they check off yet. I haven't even been looking at the bingo card, but I'm trying to pick up books by female authors this month. Another book that I was going to pick up this month, and specifically this week, was Milkman by Anna Burns, because it had been shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. And I heard people talking about it and predicting that it should win, that it would win. And I said I wanted to read it before the prize was announced, but I didn't have time. I just didn't have time to get into that book before June 5th. And then on June 5th, the book that was awarded the Women's Prize for Fiction 2019 is Tayari Jones' An American Marriage, which I read. I'm going to link my review down below where you can hear my complete thoughts on that book. I didn't read all the books that the judges were choosing from, but I did read 3 of the shortlisted books. I read An American Marriage, I read Circe, and I read My Sister the Serial Killer. And I didn't love any of those 3 books. I wasn't completely wowed by them. I must say that of the 3, I think An American Marriage was the most literary, but I feel like there were other probably better candidates. I don't know, but I didn't read Milkman yet. The fact that I didn't get a chance to read it and I was going to read it now for the Women's Prize for Fiction mean that I'm going to save it for my chronological order, my consecutive order of reading the Booker Prize novels. So I'm gonna leave my Milkman for the end of my Booker reading challenge. So I'm just gonna take that off my TBR for June. You won't hear anything else about it until I come back and do my TBR revisit. So that's it. That's Friday reads and a little bonus discussion. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. I try to make a Friday reads video every Friday just to give you a little update on what I'm reading. I also have a lot of reviews that I've been recording and editing, and they should be being uploaded on the channel pretty soon. I also started a read along of Maya Angelou's second memoir, Gathered Together in My Name, and so I'll be reading and sharing those read aloud segments here on the channel. So if you're new to the channel and you're looking for more videos of mine to watch, go ahead, check out the playlist. You can hear me read the entire book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and now we've started her second memoir, Maya Angelou's Gathered Together in My Name. So that's what's happening here on Runwright Reads. Let's talk in the comments. Let me know what you've been reading, how your reading week has gone. I hope you have a happy weekend. Let's talk in the comments, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.